really first met Leslie when we went to Israel in 2012 on this great mission that was sponsored by Federation before I worked there. And my wife Shira and I were on the trip, and we were leaders along with Leslie and her husband Jim and Stephen Ellen Weiss, and it was an incredible group of people. So through the trip, Leslie was so relentless and passionate and determined. She was inspiring to be with, and we loved having her as our sort of fearless leader. Every day on the bus, she would welcome us. She would teach us a Hebrew word. She was give us some insights about what we were going to see, because she had lived in Israel after she graduated from college. She was amazing, and we fell in love with her at that point, both Shira and I. Leslie's passion knew no bounds. She was passionate about cycling. She was passionate about her family. She was passionate about Jewish Buffalo and its future, and the state of Israel and its people. And she was passionate about Roswell Park, the institution that did its utmost to save her life. And every year she rode for Roswell, this incredible bike event that we rode this year, 4 months after she passed away, in her memory. And it was bittersweet, but we did it for her, we did it on her behalf and all the patients who are served by Roswell Park. We miss her so much. You know, she left us too soon. And we honor her by leading in the way she led. That's my big takeaway from her life, is that the only way we can make sense of someone like her being taken away so young is that we've got to lead with the same kind of energy, the same kind of passion and vigor, and leading from the heart.
I'm Kathy. I'm Leslie's older sister. She's 2 years younger than me, and we grew up very close. Kind of went through everything together. You know, we always knew what the other person was going to say. So the classic story is when we used to go skiing with the whole family. Diane, Leslie, and I would be in the way back of the station wagon, and my dad would be driving home, and there would be a whiteout from the snow, and he would need to focus. And so he would bribe us with a quarter to stay quiet. And after a few minutes, Leslie was the first one to talk and said, "Oh, this is stupid. I'm not doing this." It was classic. I mean, she would do that all the time. I mean, it happened more than once. She was a talker. She had to talk. She thought it was dumb. When she was bat mitzvahed, she wanted all her money donated to the Federation and to Jewish causes. She went to Israel really young. She was really adventurous. My siblings and I and my mother were in Barcelona together in 2019, end of January, beginning of February, and then from there, Leslie and I took off and went to Morocco for 4 days on our own. I'm so grateful that I had that time to travel with her, just the two of us, because I have really good memories.
I have been on this journey with the Shuman family and Leslie for longer than I like, and I wish more than anything that it ended differently. The ride for Roswell last year, she actually lit the eternal flame that is on the front of Mitch Flynn, the founder of the ride, of his bicycle. And so we were down here in the front of the hospital, and she was so proud to do it, you know, and she was a rider, she was a cyclist. There are treatments and innovative research, and she's really helped because of the monies that she raised for the Ride for Roswell. She's helped in putting that research a little farther down the road. And so in her way, she's helping pave the way for others that when they get that diagnosis, perhaps we can do more for them, and they can have not only a better quality of life, but a cure, and that's what we all want.
Jim and I went to college together. We're both from Long Island, and we met the summer before school started. We happened to live in the same freshman dormitory. Fast forward, we both graduated from college, went our separate ways, and quite a few years later, in the early 90s, we both find ourselves back in Buffalo, restarted our friendship, and that's when I was dating Maxine at the time.
It was our goal to fix him up with the Jewish girls in Buffalo. Once we met Leslie, we became friends, the four of us, and we got married at the same time. We had our kids around the same years, and we skied together. She tried getting me to exercise more and tread water, but we had a great time together, the four of us.
Leslie was terrific about energizing people and getting people to really feel like we're making a huge contribution to the Jewish community. So that's one of her great legacies here in Buffalo.
So Leslie's family and my family were very close. My dad and Leslie's dad did business together, but we really got close to Leslie and I when we started to travel together. We roomed together many, many times in Israel, in New York, Washington, D.C., mostly with Federation trips, mostly with women's trips, but we did have a few times where we traveled together.
Yeah. Leslie and I, worked very, very closely together for Jewish Federation, and when I became president, Leslie was my, guiding light. She helped me, understand the agencies, and she, helped me to really get started. And then Leslie's term followed mine, and of course, there wasn't much I could do to help Leslie. She knew everything, but we worked really closely together, and I think really ultimately for the benefit of the community. I remember when we were planning the wedding with our daughter, and we were just so hopeful that Leslie and Jim would be able to come.
I called Leslie because it was so important that I talked to her that day. And on the phone, I got a little choked up, and she calmed me down. I told her how I wanted her to be there. I wanted to talk to her. And she was like, tell me everything. Tell me what you're doing. And it was like she snapped me out of it. And I told her what an amazing day it was and how beautiful Kayla looked, and that we were sitting there staring at the mountain, at Camelback Mountain. That was special, that she supported me on that day. I think the water reminds me of Leslie a little bit. I remember all the times when we were in Israel and she would go into, was it probably the Mediterranean Sea? And she would tread water in the Mediterranean Sea. She always squeezed in her exercise time, her philanthropy, Leslie her family time.
Leslie made the most of every minute of every day.
Yeah.
The last time Leslie came to visit us, we had a Shabbat dinner. One of the neighbor's sons came, and he does something called acro yoga. It's with two people and you're holding each other up. And he said, Leslie, you can try it. You don't have to worry. I'll help you. And she said, really? She was always up for it. And after a big Shabbat dinner, and we had a lot of wine, and it was really, really fun, he has her up. He's holding her with his feet, and she is so happy because this is her, it's the daring thing. And she was like flying in our salon. I want to take her with me in my life and live really, really just continue to take chances and risks. really enjoy life in her name.
Hi, I'm Shelley Yellen, and I'm the successor to Leslie as the president of the Buffalo Jewish Federation.
I'm Margie Bryan, and I'm currently the treasurer of Buffalo Jewish Federation, but enjoyed being the vice president while Leslie was president. Leslie and I grew up on the same neighborhood, or on the same street on Dan Troy, and we met in middle school kind of time frame. And I had the good fortune of being asked by Leslie and her sister Diane to be part of an Israeli dance group. And we did dancing at the Jewish Center. We went to Rosa Copeland. We went anywhere in town that people wanted Israeli dancing. Fast forward 30 years, I had the opportunity to come back to Buffalo to help run my father's business. And Leslie found out about it, and we hadn't really connected in years. And she just pulled me in and said, "Oh, do I have an opportunity for you? You need to get involved in Federation. We know it's been since, the 80s that you were involved in this. It doesn't matter." And she brought me to this wonderful Jewish community. And when Leslie tapped me to say, "Hey, we're waiting for you to come back and be engaged again," I didn't know what I had been missing, and Buffalo is now my home again.
Yeah, I was always kind of really inspired by Leslie. I just found her always very positive and always looking at the good side of people and the Federation, and always very caring about not only obviously our community, but Israel. And I always found that very inspiring. So when she asked me to be president, I watched what Leslie was doing. I thought she worked on a number of great projects that I thought, hey, they really need to continue. It's really about continuing on with the same ideas that she felt so strongly about, and how to connect people and engage people and make the Jewish Buffalo a great place to live.
I can't even recall how many times I would go to meet Leslie at Spot Coffee for a meeting, and she'd show up with a little compostable bag full of these buckwheat cookies. I love these cookies, and I'm so glad Kathy shared the recipe with us so that we can share it with you, and so that I can continue to make them in my own kitchen and think about Leslie. It was the day the world was shutting down at the beginning of the pandemic in March 2020. And Leslie came up around 10 o'clock in the morning, and that day, her visit was perhaps one of the most important ever. We were fearful for our own health, for our families, and it would have been really easy for Leslie to go home, but she stayed to not only make strategic decisions about the organization, but also to be with us because she cared so much about us as people. They look amazing. This is exactly how I remember them. I'm instantly transported back to Spot Coffee, sitting across from Leslie. Takes me right back there when I taste these.
I was a student, and she came to visit me. And we were in London, and she came to visit over the winter holidays. She was there for Christmas and New Year's. I don't know if you know, New Year's in London, their equivalent of Times Square is Trafalgar Square, and everybody gets together. And we were having a great time. We were with some friends of mine, actually, and we met people because, probably because Leslie met them, and, we suddenly had a larger group. Now, the thing is, this is a long time ago. There aren't cell phones, and Leslie did not have the address where I lived. I lived like half an hour out of London. So I said, okay, let's all stay together. Let's make sure we stay together. And lo and behold, like within 10 minutes, I can't find Leslie. We stayed after midnight till the crowd thinned, and still no Leslie. And I was, on the verge of a form of panic. So we went home. I didn't know what to do. My friends were with me. And then at 2 a.m, there's a knock on the door, and Leslie shows up with one of the people that she had met, a Brit. And she's just like, "That was a great night. That was so much fun. I can't believe, Jimmy, did you have a great night? And I'm like, I'm completely freaking out. So it never even dawned on her that this could be a problem. She was just enjoying herself. She was having a great time. And that was her spirit. She went forward. She didn't, philosophize or theorize. And that's a real example to follow for sure.
Leslie made me a better person by challenging me. Leslie always had a positive attitude, no matter what she did, and she made me more positive. Leslie was passionate. Leslie was kind. Leslie was considerate, except when you were having a meeting with her when she was in the house. Then she was multitasking and sometimes forgetful of the fact that we were trying to concentrate on something. Either she would be on the elliptical or she would be cooking and she would be running the blender. I always used to laugh because I would say, Leslie, I can't hear you. And she would say, what if I talk louder? In 2019, at the International Lion of Judah Conference, Leslie was named as the Buffalo Federation's Kipnis Wilson Freeland Award winner. And that award winner exemplifies leadership in the community. In Leslie's words, I believe in the unbreakable strength of our collective Jewish community. I believe I have been given a precious gift of both opportunity and freedom to focus my time, funds, and passion on our people.